Have you ever fucked a pocket pussy?
Yeah.
Have you ever fucked a fleshlight?
Yeah.
It's
sponsored.
It's pretty good.
You liked it?
I mean, I'm saying I liked it. I'm not
I don't
saying
know, it wasn't-
and I'm not saying I fucked one.
Serviceable.
Yeah, as soon as, I don't know, it doesn't really struggle for its life when you choke it.
That's the difference. But my point is, the reason why I started there is because when they incorporate that, like into an AI person,
Sure,
with like silicone flesh, it's gonna get close.
As long as they can warm that bad boy up.
They need to, but it has to be able to squeal when you do the cigarette.
That'll be an added bonus, you know. That's like if your subscription's up to date or whatever. Then, if your credit card expires, then it stops doing that.
But we could really solve a lot. Like you find out, because we'll be able to find out if kids are sociopaths or psychopaths pretty young, and they can just put them in a place and give them like sex slave toys, and they can choke them, beat them, throw them. You know,
the problem is that's going to be such an experiment, though, because I think the assumption is you go, let's give them a healthy way to deal with this by just like abusing this.
It's not going to. It's just
a thing, and then maybe in 20 years to go, hey, so it turns out it made them worse, and then they just moved on to people, and that was our bad.
It for sure would.
Well, I don't think
because then they would get the bug,
right?
Well, but I guess the assumption is that they already have this innate in them, and so we're trying to give them
those
like
are the two schools
an acceptable off ramp here.
I think those are the two schools of thought, but I think that school of thought is more wrong, where they're like, you know, if someone's like a pedophile and you're like, oh, give them like pedophile dolls, I think that just more like indulges in that part of their brain, I think.
Yeah.
I mean, think of yourself with like anything. You're like, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Just like, I don't know, what would it be? Like even drugs or something.
Sure.
You know what I mean? If you were just like...
Right, I know what you're saying. It's a good point.
Yeah.
It is a good point he's making, yeah.
Yeah, the more you sort of like, because then you like open your brain. Brains are so...
Yeah,
you know,
like you're basically doing like the AA
mile
thing, essentially, where you like, you just have to abstain. Like, this is who you are, but like, you have to abstain.
Well, I mean, even things, imagine, okay, here's a perfect example. You're just like, imagine you're someone that like works out every day, right? Or just doesn't eat McDonald's. How much easier it is to be like, I just don't eat McDonald's than it is to be like, sometimes I eat McDonald's.
Right.
Like, you know what I mean?
Yeah,
you almost need
sure.
to just like, it's not on the table.
Right.
And whereas this, if you give them the doll to beat up, you're like, it's almost on the table.
Right, sure.
It's the whole like, yeah, you're right. I never thought about it like that, but you're right. Because you want to be like sympathetic and be like, they're hooked on heroin, give them methadone, but then you're like, now they're hooked on methadone. Like it's still, you're still addicted, you're still engaging in negative. So yeah, even if you're like, if you're trying to be sympathetic to pedophiles or whatever, and I'm not saying you should, I'm saying hypothetically, don't jump down. I don't want to be called a liberal pedophile right now. That's quick in the comments.
Someone's already typing this.
Dude, it's so funny sometimes.
They're quick on the draw.
Yeah, they're quick on the draw.
You already told them about your Jewish girlfriend.
Yeah, that's, whoa, he's a Jew lover.
People are checking the early life section.
But you're right. It's still keeping that portal open in their brain for that behavior should be abstained. You should abstain from that behavior, just like you said, alcohol. I get that. I never thought about it that way.
Because there's probably both, right? There's probably, two types of people. There are people that are going to do it anyway, and there's people that aren't. And I think you probably help some people and make it worse for some people, but I think the make it worse category is bigger, in my opinion.
Right. You're right.
Yeah.
I never thought about it that way. You're right. Yeah. And look, some people are just broken. Unless they can figure out a way to get in the brain and rewire it, which they'll probably be able to do.
They're getting
soon.
there.
They'll get there. They'll be able to they're going to do it.